So welcome back to Trauma and Tea with Matt and Moll. We're here to spill the tea on all things related to trauma and mental health.
Today we're going to be talking about my reasons for doing the pod. And that's it really, isn't it? So we'll just get into it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so about a year ago, I was suffering really bad with condition, syndrome, whatever you want to call it, called fibro. And
Fibromyalgia.
yeah, sorry, fibromyalgia. I was diagnosed with it in the lockdown. I'd been suffering with it, to be honest, all my life. I never known a day that I wasn't really in physical pain of some sort. I was on mental health tablets all my life. I had just come off my mental health tablets. I've always gone on and off them because I wasn't quite sure if I believed in what they do. I do think they're good for a crutch, a bit like a plaster. You have them temporary and then come off them, but I was on them so long, I was sick of feeling like I couldn't be myself. I didn't have any emotions. I was quite numb. So when I got diagnosed, I got quite depressed.
So when was you diagnosed?
February 21, I want to say. But to get diagnosed, there was like a lot of tests. I had to do nerve tests, MRIs, lumbar punctures, lots of different tests. Basically, they go through everything. I think they rule out things like MS, which is multiple sclerosis, and they like to rule out other things. And it is true, like at the end of the line, fibromyalgia is like the end of the line diagnosis. This is why lots of people think it isn't true or it doesn't exist because you can't see it. But I know it's true because obviously I've felt it. When I was diagnosed with it, I was already aware of it. To be honest, I was already pretty convinced that I had it, which obviously made me worse. Didn't realise that then. I know that now. Because I didn't understand it fully. And even though I've suffered with it, I still suffer with it. I still don't understand this condition fully. So...
And can I just say that, so I had an ex-partner who's a doctor and I spoke about fibromyalgia with them, and it shocked me that even speaking to a doctor, they can be, the opinion was they didn't really know if it existed, but but it does exist because there's so many people with it. But I'm just saying, I can see that.
Yeah, lots of doctors, unless they've seen anyone with their own experience, with their own eyes, they don't understand it either. Because on paper, it looks like there's nothing wrong with this person. You don't have anything on the brain, you don't have anything wrong with your blood. You don't have
all the tests coming back.
Everything is clear.
Yeah.
And that's the weird, scary thing about fibromyalgia. And then obviously then I was really depressed once I had the diagnosis because I felt like, right, it's COVID. I had just had my first jab, which made me really unwell. And not kind of unwell as COVID unwell. It was unwell like physical pain. Like as if it's like I was on an electric chair. Have you ever been on one of them chairs and it's like zzz.
Yeah.
It was buzzing all over my body as if like it did something to me, and I thought I'm not having any more of them because it didn't make me feel okay. And I wasn't well for weeks, but I don't know if it was the jab or if it was just me. I'm not sure, but I wasn't well and it was COVID. I wasn't in a very good place. I obviously own a salon and we had the least support over everybody. We were the last to be able to work because of the type of job we were in. So I really had a long time off work and I was quite depressed, which obviously now we know affects fibromyalgia. So originally, I wanted to do a channel or a pod on fibromyalgia because I went onto a group on Facebook, found a couple of groups to support me, and I felt like they wasn't really supportive. I felt like, if anything, they made me worse because it's full of people there that are just negative.
Yeah.
Like, does anybody feel this? Does anybody, I was reading these things and I was getting even more ill. So this is how it, for me, started, the whole idea of wanting to do something, because I thought somebody out there must be feeling like me. And when you're 32 and you can barely even walk around your own house because your body is attacking itself so much, even just washing your hair is difficult. You know, picking up a kettle is difficult. Your whole muscles of your body are in spasm. You do feel like a freak.
Yeah.
And there were times that I went into dark places and I was thinking of deadly things, and I didn't want to be here anymore. I kind of hit rock bottom, I would say, this year, January of this year. And I just...
And what did that look like?
I noticed I had a lot of triggers. Somebody local had passed. There was a bit of a discrepancy in the case. You know, I had a previous abusive relationship, physical, mental, everything really, when I was younger. And that was a 5.5 year relationship, so it was quite a long time. And when that was triggering me, I realised all of a sudden how I escalated in pain. So I kind of sat there and thought, all the doctors say this is mental, but I never agreed with that because...
You never believed them?
I never believed
because it was
them.
Physical.
Well, I was feeling it. So for me, it was like, why am I in pain then? You don't know what you're talking about. So I went on a bit of a... just a mission really of trying to like figure myself out. Well, obviously we started talking about I wanted to do a channel and a pod, and you wanted a pod, and we thought, oh, well, maybe we'll do it together. And then obviously that never happened until now because we've been going through lots of stuff, the pair of us. I'd say that after January, I had a bit of a weird time. I felt a bit like that was a bit of an out-of-body experience. Like I was here, but not here. I didn't care if I was here. I wasn't turning in for work as much. I didn't care about my business as much. And I don't know really. I was in a bit of a weird space. Kind of picked myself up around the February time. So in April of this year, we went to a dance competition. My daughter does like Latin ballroom dance. And we went to Winter Gardens, we go every year. Lots of parents there, and got really close. Well, not really close, got quite friendly with one of the kids' fathers who was there on his own, looking after his daughter. Not really being one for mingling with the whole dance mom situation. I gravitated towards him because he was alone, I was alone, and our daughter seemed to get on. And my daughter hadn't been to school for about 5 months because of her own mental health and troubles, and she isolated herself most of COVID. So this was really nice that she was having a friend, and she was diagnosed with ASD as well in this time. So learning to understand her has been quite it's been quite hard because she definitely woke up and was a bit different after her surgery. Like my daughter had brain surgery in Great Ormond Street a couple of years back, and she definitely changed a little bit in personality. But then that could have been because she was a teenager, it could have been because of the tumour was removed, it could have been because I didn't really know her because she was epileptic and she fitted more than she didn't fit at some points. So I'm not really sure, but there was lots of things going on. And I just thought, this is really lovely, we got really close. And unfortunately, I ended up in a situation with this man, and he tried to rape me, basically. And when I came, obviously, I managed to get out. First couple of days, he was a bit odd. You know, he was, I don't know, he was a very interesting person. Like, I felt he was a bit strange.
From what I remember you saying, because you have told me this before,
Mm.
you ended up feeling like you had to stay in the room.
Yeah. So the evening of what happened, he was hell bent on having me help him order food because he claims he couldn't do it and he didn't have a card. So my daughter offered to do it for him, and he just made up excuses like he didn't have a bank card, he needed me to give me the cash because she didn't have a bank card. So they came into my room and they were all like, we all want food, we're starving, kind of thing. So I was like, okay. And all the kids ended up, and there were several kids there. There was my daughter, his daughter, and some other kids of other mothers who obviously down doing whatever they're doing. Usually on these weekends, they're at the bar, they're mingling, they're in the local parts of the hotel, and the kids just run wild. It's just what happens. And I was with all these children, and he was with all these children, and all these children ended up some reason back at his room, which is like 5 doors down from me, and I ended up going in there. At the time I didn't really know why. I think it was more like, by what I think now, it was more of an instinctual thing. Like, I don't know these kids. I know these children. I don't know this man. So I just wanted to be there. And I didn't feel unsafe around him either, even though I knew he was a little bit odd. But because of he's a born-again Christian, flat earther, very outspoken, I just thought maybe he's just quirky. I know lots of quirky people. So I'm not wanting to judge him. I didn't really see the danger signs. But I felt them. It was really strange. And this is where I learned a lot about myself this year. I really don't listen to myself. And I ended up there. We went to get the food when it was ordered. We all left the room. And my daughter had put her key card on the side table. And one of the kids had said that one of the kids had taken it and they were playing about, and then he put it back on the side table but didn't tell anybody. And as we left, he the father, was the last man out of the room. And when we got back, that key card was missing. Now, my daughter got a really bad memory, so naturally, when we got back, we had crates of cans, pop, that we took with us for the weekend. And my daughter said, can I go and get some pop next door? We were really thirsty. And I said, yeah, no problem, use a key card. And she was like, it's not here. So we had a bit of a confrontational discussion about the fact that she needs to be doing better with the memory. She's been trying. All these key cards look the same. They're just white with the hotel. So we didn't know what was what. Couldn't find this key card anywhere. 7 of us in this room looking for this key card. And no luck. So naturally, I just assumed that she'd lost it in the hotel. So she went then and got pop, and she wasn't gone long. But in that time that they'd gone, he had tried to attack me, and it was really, really scary because it wasn't like what I expected. He was talking to me, telling me what he was going to do. So it was kind of like fucking my head before he hurt. It was really, and I did freeze, and I thought to myself, because I'd been hurt as a child as well, I kind of went into that thought process of, I've been through this before, it's going to be over soon, And he was saying things like, how can he expect me him to not want me? And when I look the way I do, and really making me feel, this is not a compliment. If anything, this was making me feel weird because I was in pajamas, Crocs, and a frizzy bun. I was thinking to myself, whoa, like, this man is scary. Like, he doesn't care that I look like this. And he was talking, and all the meanwhile, when he was doing this, he had a hat on that said, I love Jesus, Christ is King. Obviously, I managed to get out. That was a physical, bit of a thing. And when I got out, I remember looking back at the door that shut behind me. And as he was shutting, he said, "You better run before I put my hands on you again." And I looked and I kind of stopped in the doorway and I thought, why hasn't he come out? I was really confused then because I was like, why didn't he run after me? As I was walking down to the lift, because I knew the kids hadn't gone to the room. They'd gone off into the hotel. So as I'd gone down to the lift and I looked up, I noticed there was a camera facing that way. And when I turned around, there was a camera at the other end facing that way. And that's when I realised, I think this was premeditated. And that's when I kind of thought, oh my God, is this what I thought? So I was doing the whole questioning thing. Was he just trying it on? It wasn't that. I didn't think it was that. And it was really confusing. I can hear the kids at the bottom of the stairs, and obviously the fire exit stairs were open, and I could hear kids, and I didn't know if they were coming from the lift or the stairs. So I kind of stood there, and then I didn't get into the lift because I didn't know what kind of frame of mind he was in. He'd been drinking as well. And I was a bit concerned. And as I looked up, he was walking towards me. As the kids came up, I kind of jump scared them to make them feel like there was a reason I was there. My daughter looked straight through me and just like, what are you doing? Kind of thing. But these parts I've recorded because I recorded for my own safety. And they don't show a lot, but they just show the fact that I jump scared the kids, and Eva was just looking at me like, what are you doing? And I actually caught on camera him walking towards me and just pulled out a key card, white key card that looks like every other key card, and said, oh, I found your key card. And I thought, well, how does he know that's mine? And then that's when I realised, oh my God. Yeah. I really got lucky there. The next day, he didn't give me much chance to think. He was banging the door, early doors, wanted us up for breakfast, wanted us in his space all the time, wanted to sit next to me on the bus. He wanted me not to have an opportunity to talk to anybody, I think. When I was at breakfast, one of the mothers were kind of next to me and I just blurted it out to her. She was really supportive, but the dance school wasn't so much so. And the police, well, rubbish. Totally rubbish, because obviously Lancashire police have to talk to Ponty police, and the police they don't care. I wasn't actually physically really hurt, so I just don't think they saw this as an important thing. But for me, there's young girls in that dance school. If it wasn't me, could it be one of the girls?
It's attempted, and if he hasn't been apprehended for something contemptible, isn't that emboldening?
Yeah, exactly.
To do something similar again.
I believe he's done this before. I tried to reach out to his wife because I felt that didn't have any support. Just as nutty as him, to be honest. Completely nutty.
So, and when was this?
April this year.
It's around April this year. So, so tell me about the aftermath of it. You come home.
I come home. Building works had just started that day at my house. It was supposed to be a nice time, me and my husband. I'd been planning this work for 2 or 3 years. And
so your husband and you got married?
October of last year. I got married. We've been together 10 years. Yeah. I was happy until I was happy, really. Until I was unhappy. I think big events happen and they show true people's, I don't know if it's feelings or thoughts or that. Basically, I got home and my daughter was a massive support. She's 13 and supported me through this. I got home and my husband didn't really support my daughter. Didn't really care for, help her out to deal with it. But also, he just didn't know what to do with me. He just emotionally was unable to even help me. And all I had from family, certain family, and him was, why was you in the room? as making it out as if it was something else. Like, well, what do you expect if you're in a hotel room? Yeah, if you're in a hotel room with a man, don't you expect that? Well, I shouldn't expect that. It's the same thing as wearing a dress. It's not a yes, like it's not a case of you can do what you want because I'm there. It's supposed to be a friendship. It should never have ended like that. So my husband at the time was really, I don't know if he was struggling or if he was just unable to help. I just closed off because I felt a bit like he was blaming me. I felt like my other people were blaming me. And I just thought, I need to just be quiet now because I've made myself look like a dick and it's my fault. And I don't even know why I was in the room. Maybe I brought it on myself. These are the thought processes I was having. I also wrote it all down in a statement email before I lost my memories, because I know from as a child when I went through something similar, my memory started to just black it out. Every day that went by, I kind of just pushed it down. No, I didn't realise I was good at doing this until this event. I never realised how good I am at doing this until this event. So me and my husband started getting a bit, I resented him a lot actually, and a couple of weeks later, again, another traumatic event. Again, I overthought it and thought maybe he thought it was his baby, and we did. And maybe because he was because in my head, because I'm obviously an overthinker, I thought he thought we did do something and it was consensual and I was making this whole thing up. This is how he made me feel. Maybe I made myself feel a bit like that, I don't know. But he never did enough, in my opinion, to pull me out of that and reassure me,
And I think I remember at the time about wanting to go to the police. That was
just no support. Like he never really picked up the phone and said, we are calling the police. He never really went. He collected me that day, which I thought was really awkward. I wasn't expecting him to come up to the bus and lamp in one and be like, touch my wife. No, none of that. But I would have liked a little bit more support than what I had. So a couple of weeks later, me and my friend, we ended up going to Ibiza. A couple of weeks later, we ended up, I was on the toilet in the house and I'd lost a fetus. I think I was about 7 to 8 weeks. I didn't know I was pregnant. I wasn't planning a baby. And I know lots of people who've had miscarriages, but I never quite understood them early miscarriages. I thought, if you lose a 5-month, 6-month pregnancy, it's really hard, isn't it? But I've never been through this. So I was really confused and I kind of called him. I showed him and I said, look, I think I've lost a baby, and he just kind of came in and just went, well, I didn't want a baby anyway. And then left me, just really insensitive to how I felt. And I got quite emotional when he left me and to do whatever it was he was doing. And I kind of felt like, well, he is right. I didn't want a baby either, but this just happened. Then I had to kind of stop myself crying, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror and I remember saying to myself, you're just emotional because you're pregnant. You don't really want this baby. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying to convince myself again, pushing it down as if to say, what are you crying for?
Yeah.
It's because you're hormonal. Stop crying. A couple weeks later, then I ended up in Ibiza because, I'd never been. I've been a mother since I was 18, and I thought I need to go away and just have a blowout. And I've never really done that properly. So I went and had my blowout. I met 2 boys in Ibiza, and they kind of restored my faith in men. They were really nice guys, actually. They were, one was married, one wasn't. Both just out in Ibiza having a boys' time. And they were like brothers, really, more than anything. They became little older brothers. And they had psychedelics on them, along with other drugs, because Ibiza, and we were talking about, different things. And my interest in psychedelics was already there previously because my father had an interest when he was younger, he explored a bit. And I've seen a lot online about how they help mental health, and then other people who say they don't. So I was a little bit like this.
So if people who don't know, there are clinical trials being done in London, in London and all over the world, but in the UK, clinical trials are being done in London at the moment to look at how psychedelics can treat depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction, a range of mental health problems. And obviously this is not, we can't give any medical advice, we're just putting facts out there.
These are just my personal experiences.
Experiences and facts, but
yeah.
So.
And yeah, I mean, when I decided to explore that, the first time I took psychedelic, there's no other way to put it. I felt like I was in a time warp. I felt like my whole life was playing like a video in front of me, and I was able to see from outside looking in things that were happening to me or had happened to me. And I came out of the trip then a bit confused. So I kind of just went like this for a bit. And I thought, well, that was really strange. And I took some counselling. I went for a bit of help. So I was like, look, this has happened, and now I've done this, and now I think I've fried my brain. Basically, I was like, I've completely and utterly messed my head up. Someone saved me because I'm going to die. That's how I felt. And my counsellor helped me. I had lots of good friends, obviously, who were keeping me sane, and at the time anyway. And yeah, it was really strange. And a couple of months later, I did it again because I kind of got over it. And I thought, I wonder what else I could see. I wanted to explore it. I really did. I wasn't scared of that drug. And I'm not a person who does drugs. But this drug in particular, I thought, well, I've started it now. I feel like I need to go back. I don't know. I was just ready, I think. I took it, and again, life experiences, time warp, felt like I'd been in this trip 100 years, but I wasn't in it that long. And I learned a lot by myself. And I saw people, things that I was remembering subconscious memories. And I know these subconscious memories are not fake because I've gone back and I've asked people like different things. I've gone through photos, and some of it, when it happened, I did remember it again. I thought, oh my God, I forgot about that. So I was having the opportunity to relive traumatic events, albeit I didn't really want to see a lot of it, okay? But I got to connect my feelings to these events again as an adult, because a lot of these things happened to me as a child. And when you're a child, I don't think you're taught how you're happy, sad. You're not taught emotions. You're taught algebra and stupid things like that. But these kids I couldn't even discuss my feelings. I didn't know how to express my feelings. I didn't know if I was sad or whatever. So when these things were happening to me, I instantly was connecting with them, and I felt a release in my diaphragm and in my chest. And I came back and I wasn't in pain. So the second time I did a psychedelic, I wasn't in pain immediately. And obviously when you're on the drug, you're not in pain anyway. So I got to be able to, and because I was in a rave and I love music, I got to dance, and I thought, oh my God, I feel amazing. Because I
used to call it stomping it out.
Stomping it out, yeah, I did. So I used to
stomping out the pain.
I used to stomp out the pain, yeah, I do remember. So when I used to have like a bad, tight shoulder, and this is where it kind of all radiates and begins, I used to kind of like do this, do you remember? And I used to kind of stomp and like punch and just all sorts of shapes, actually. I didn't even care. I was just trying to shake off this shell that I created, clearly, because when I was on this stuff, I was feeling like I could do anything. But when I wasn't on it, I could feel myself going like this, and this was what was making me worse, along with my mental health. And that's when I realised this is connected. And the doctors did tell me. They did tell me it was connected, but I didn't believe it. To me, it was like, you're a liar, this is physical, you don't know what you're talking about, you can feel it, you can massage it, I don't know what you mean. But actually, when I did the psychedelic, it taught me that once I was letting things go and basically boxing them in my brain, putting them where they should be, I felt so better, physically better. And then through like massage and manipulation of like, your back cracked and things like that, I eventually got so much better. So a couple of months later, I thought, I'll do this for a bit of fun. I kind of dealt with the abuse as a child. I was kind of getting over what just happened in Blackpool and the baby situation, the loss of the baby. And I was getting there, and I took it for a bit of fun, yet in another rave, and then I could just see everything that was wrong in my marriage. And it was kind of like, it was sad for me because we were happy. The day we got married, I thought I was happy. I noticed that my husband and me are just two different people, and actually he hinders me a lot. So for example, when I was going out and doing these things, rather than be not so much supportive, because I know like naturally if you wanted to do a drug, I would probably be like, don't do it, you don't need to. But it was the things I was being called. I was being called scatty mess, a druggie. It was always putting me down. And then even then, when I wasn't doing anything like that for myself, and I was just doing normal things in the house, I was seeing in my trips that everything I did was a problem. I couldn't do anything right. I was always the joke of the family for this, for that, being late, whatever. It was always something. And the jokes have been going on 10 years now, and I felt like we'd run our course. We weren't connected in any way. We don't have the same interests. Whenever I wanted him to come out and do anything, it was like he didn't. And he said he was suffering with his mental health now. But honestly, I just believe that we are different people, and we were good for the time that we were good. We had our son, and he helped me bring up my daughter. But actually, the sad reality was that he wasn't making me happy, and I was resenting him a lot for this year's events, which is really sad because we just got married. So for a lot of people, it's sort of like, we got married, what are you doing? We've just done our house, what are you doing? And there's no logic to a feeling. All I can say is, it is what it is. And I couldn't have him around anymore knowing that he was making me ill. Because if you remember, he went away. Do you remember this? When he went away for a couple of weeks, and I started having friends over because I could. That was a problem, wasn't it? Remember he called and that was an issue and made a drama. Maybe, well, I remember saying to you, you're not leaving. He's not even here. But he was watching the Ring doorbell all the time. I just felt like something really, he was never like this before. I just want to say he was never, to my knowledge, like this before. But naturally, since splitting, some truths have come out, which makes sense now. I know there's more lies and more things that will come out. Some that he's admitted himself and some I've heard. And I just think, again, I didn't listen to myself. And the day I got married, I never ever, all through the wedding, I mean, to be fair, I did plan the wedding 4 times because of COVID. And there were times we sat down and I said, is this a sign? Is this a sign that we shouldn't get married? Do we really want to get married? There were times that I felt like in the January when I was really upset and I cried and I cried and I cried, because I do that this time of the year. I think all of us have a bit of a depression, don't they? I just felt like he didn't support me even then, you know? So I just don't think he understands me, and that's fine because I don't really understand myself. But he's not emotionally able to do what I need him to do. And when I tripped, obviously I could see it, and I couldn't unsee it once I saw it. And the truth is, I think he was trying to hold on to it, and I was more of a possession.
I think a really good analogy is it does help you to see patterns in your life.
Massively.
And then breaking those patterns becomes a lot easier.
I definitely saw
whether
patterns.
that be a depressive pattern, an addictive pattern, or just a habit or a behavioural pattern, you were able to see that.
I could see that he was always happy if I was doing something that suited him. And in the end, I kind of thought, I don't really want to live like this. And it was almost as if, I'll be honest, it was almost as if we got married. And it was like, the feet were under the table. Even the day of the wedding, he was different. Do you remember? It was just, didn't spend any time with me at the wedding. He was like a totally different person. And I, didn't even, there's lots of things I resent him for on the wedding, actually. I felt like he could have been a bit more mature about the situation. It just felt like it was a big laugh and joke, really. But then when the wedding was over, it was like, I have to be serious, I have to be a wife. And it was all very confusing. And to be honest, when I tripped, I kind of saw all this. And I didn't like the way he made my friends feel, I'll be honest. I didn't like the way he made anyone feel when they came to my house. I had this lovely big house that we've had done out, and yet nobody was allowed to come. And if they are allowed to come, he would just not engage. And that was really sad, because people were in the wedding and they were like, I don't even really know him. I don't know your husband. And then that's when I thought, oh my days, this is actually really messed up. Like, why have we done this? We'd had several arguments over the years before about this bloody wedding, and like, I don't even think we should do it. And honestly, it's done now. But the night before the wedding, I had the biggest panic attack ever. And I truly believe it was my subconscious saying, like, don't do this. I just wanted to make his family happy. They were all really excited for it. I was excited for it, and it is what it is. But yeah, this year's been hard because, okay, you could blame psychedelics for it all, maybe, but I don't believe that's the case. I believe psychedelics have helped me, like you said, see patterns and feel more, be in touch with myself. So, for example, when he went away on that course, and then we met up and we were at the house or whatever, he instantly made me shake with his drama, and I was shaking and I felt sick and I was retching, and I thought, why am I physically... It was almost as if I'd disconnected mentally because of the help of that and the work I had done whilst tripping. I kind of thought to myself, right, I know we can't be together, and I was trying to figure it out. But physically, whenever he was near me, I was hurting. So then that's when I realised this is my fibro kicking off, and I think it's because of this. So I did a lot of work on myself, and honestly, as soon as he left, I'll be honest, I did feel better physically. And that's the sad thing. Whether we were perfect or not, somebody who makes you ill, and he wasn't trying to, I don't believe. He's just being himself. But we just don't fit square peg round hole quite clearly. I don't know if it became that way or if it was always that way. But that's where we were this year. And yeah, it is a bit mental. And I know lots of people think, well, what's happened? But the truth is, once you do a drug like that and you see it, you can't unsee it. And I'd be living a literal lie, and he would be living a lie, and the whole family would be living a lie, and nobody deserves to be strung along anymore. I don't regret the wedding, I don't regret any of my decisions. The only regret is I wish that I had had more help as a child to deal with this emotions properly, because I do think a lot of this comes deep, and maybe I was just hell-bent on proving everybody wrong, going for the nice guy. Because everybody, when I met him, said, like, he's a nice guy. Yes, he is a nice guy. But for me, that's not enough.
Not right.
It's not the right guy.
So we've covered a lot about trauma and the link between mental pain and physical pain. That link being manifests itself with you in fibromyalgia, and we're looking at how you're managing that with the use of psychedelics. But I'm also quite interested in the link between the trauma that you've experienced and the kind of spiritual journey that you've been on.
Recently, yeah.
Not so much recently, just in general.
In general.
Would you say you've become
more spiritual
over the years?
100%. So when I went to see a medium a long time ago, she said to me straight away, she totally picked up on the fact, she went, you're a Pisces, but you're not a Pisces. Because you were supposed to be born in Aries, so you're an odd one, because you will have both. And she knew this straight away. And she said, you are very spiritual. And I did say that my mother and everybody used to say I used to see things. Growing up, I used to see things, I used to see things. Again, no, it's not validated, because when you're kids, like, oh, she's got a fake friend, oh, she's silly, or doing. None of this stuff is really stuff that people want to take seriously. And I grew up then pushing it down. And then this medium did say to me, I've had some weird premonitions before. They're not often, because of, obviously, I'm guessing, blockages. But she did say, when you reach 30, it will become worse. And there'll be nothing you can do about it. And I took psychedelics, and I'm 32. And yeah, lately this year has been quite strange. Like, I've become really spiritual and just more connected with energy in general. I feel people's energy. So now, if I'm in a group of people, I've always found it overstimulated. So as a kid, my mother tried to get me diagnosed also for ASD/ADHD, which at the time wasn't really something that you knew lots about. And dyslexic as well, which obviously falls hand in hand with that. It was kind of the telltale sign, really, that I had something neurologically different with me. Again, nobody wanted to. I don't know if the research wasn't there. I think it was, but
it's getting a lot more understood these days than it was.
I think now with like TikTok and YouTube and people podding.
But even now, most people with ASD and ADHD end up undiagnosed. Most people.
Yeah, like, I mean, lots of my people I know were only now getting diagnosed as adults. I'll be honest, I do believe not being pigeonholed helped me live the life that I have. I do think being diagnosed could maybe for some people make them think they can be more like that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, my daughter sometimes, she pushes it big time because she knows she got no filter. She will push that because well, I'm ASD. This is the problem we got with it. Because I didn't have that growing up. I had the, well, it must be, but I had the opposite, I suppose, in the sense that I was like, oh, it's just me, I'm weird. I'm different. I'm a problem. So I don't really know where the balance is there.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I was looked at like the bit of a weird one because of my thought processes and the way I thought. So naturally, I just pushed it down. And this year, it's been like I would be in a group of people and I would get overstimulated then. But then now I believe maybe I wasn't overstimulated. Maybe it's just energy. I feel energy, and I've had to delete people from my life. And honestly, ever since I've taken certain people out of the equation, there's not many people left, guaranteed. But I just want to start again. I just want to start again. Anything bad, everybody kind of had a window each time I tripped to disappoint me or not disappoint me. And the people who did, I just mentally kind of pushed back again and back again and back again. And some people won't be coming back into my life. And it's weird for a lot of people, but I feel the best I've ever felt. And I truly believe it's because I've connected to energies and myself. And physically, I feel like a weight has been lifted. I do still suffer. I mean, I wasn't well last week, as you know. I had a bit of a crash. But I think I'll always suffer with this because of I'm very sensitive. It's obvious that I'm a really sensitive person, maybe spiritual, maybe not, who knows. I mean, that's something that will...
I mean, a scientific bit of information that I found quite interesting that makes me think here, is I heard this on Stephen Bartlett's Day of the CEO, and there was a trauma specialist talking about they were talking about intuition and gut instincts and how that comes about, and they were saying about how there is actually neurons that go into your gut, and that is the gut feeling you get, or that feeling of intuition where you feel it in your body, like something's going to happen, or something bad's going to happen, or that intuition that
I
you
get
get.
that a lot.
She explained it very scientifically in a way of how neurons, especially with trauma. So, for example, maybe when you put your hand into a fire, first time that you touch fire, that those neurons, they get very deep into your nervous system. And that's why the next time you go to touch fire, you don't even need to think about taking your hand out the fire. Your body will do it automatically, because the neurons are in your nervous system. Your brain doesn't even need to think about it.
It's muscle memory.
It's in your nervous system.
Yeah.
And it made me think about the fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
About how because fibromyalgia seems to be very linked to trauma, mental trauma, and pain, then mental pain turning into physical pain, and your nervous system. And it was just very interesting, that, and just connecting that, and obviously your story, but then also with the tripping that you've been doing, the kind of getting it, clearing those blockages that you do feel like you're still in pain, but you're managing it in some way.
My pain now is way more manageable. My recovery, when I do have a bit of a crash, I call it a crash because I can literally just be okay 1 minute, and the next minute I can just be in bed. I used to be in bed for anything from hours to weeks. I've known myself to be very ill for over a month. And that's like a disabled person crawling around the house, not able to even do anything. So my recent crash was, what are we today? We are Thursday. I think it was last week. No, on my end, it was this week. It was a couple of days ago. It wasn't even that long ago. And I came on, I put myself to bed. I was struggling to speak because I can only describe it as pain all over. I've known like my jaw to hurt, my ears, like the body hurts everywhere, tingles, pains, shooting pains, random. Sometimes it's hard to breathe, so talking can be difficult because I've even felt like my neck, my throat go tight, and I can't eat. So there's been times I haven't been able to eat either. So it is a really strange, it's strange how your body just can react like that. But my recovery, like the last one going off, was about an hour to 2 hours, which is amazing. So if I can live my life dealing with it and only be ill, and I will have fatigue. Fatigue is something I'll have days where I'm like, I need to sleep for 18 hours. That's just what I need to do. Yesterday, I put my head down and I slept for a long time. And I went to bed in the night. So it can happen. It's like an aftermath. Yeah. But I can live like that. I just couldn't live. And honestly, being able to do that has given me a new lease of life. It's made me more positive for the future. And I feel like a human again.
And also, another link that I've noticed is the link between kind of intuition, gut feeling, and I remember we had conversations before where, am I correct in thinking you feel a bit more in tune with your gut, with your intuition than you might have?
For me, I've never been a person, right, who've had a gut feeling, but I do kind of like in my head. So like people would say to me, how did you do your business? And how do you do this? And how do you do this? And I think, I don't know. I literally just wake up, I have an idea, and I do it. Whether that's spiritual, intuition, I don't know. But look at the situation in Blackpool. I felt something, but I didn't know.
But you wasn't able to connect it then?
I would like to think if I was in the position now, I would be
more in tune.
Yeah, I would like to not think that. I do think there's a lot of work to do still. You know, I've seen the abuse as a child. I still got work to do there. And I've seen all the other bits of trauma, stupid things really, like people have said things to me, not realising how hurtful they are as a kid. And then like my nan, she called me the ugly one, and she called me ugly when I was older recently, but she also did it when I was a child. So when I was tripping, I've seen her lean into me and and I've seen this and I've lived it again. And this time, rather than do whatever I did as a kid, I kind of looked at it and thought, well, because I'm the rave, I'm like,
yeah,
I just punch it out, don't I? I push it away, and I'm like, out. In my head, I'm getting it out. It's out. I don't care. I've seen it again. But in a trip, it plays it over and over and over again to the point where you're just like, I don't actually care anymore. And then when I came out of the trip, it was like, I don't care about you, and I don't care about you, and you've hurt me too, and actually, do you know what? I'm done. And I didn't need that in my life, because I was going to end up dead the way I was going.
And this is where I'm no expert, but this is what I would see as looking as a friend to you. I feel like you've had these traumas, you've pushed them into your body, like buried them, and that's the way you kind of, that blackout that you described, so that you don't have to remember it. It's actually because it's pushing it away from your brain into your body,
definitely
down into your nervous system. And I think when you trip in, it's actually pulling it back out, because you pushed it into your nervous system. It's causing these blockages, and these blockages are obviously what a lot of people who are into spiritualism, but also into just counselling and grief and just therapists will say, these cause blockages in your body, which people who are spiritual will say they'll expect that will affect your ability to be spiritual, to kind of connect spiritually. But people who are like therapists will say that will affect your ability to be in tune with your body, to be in tune with your intuition. When you know that something bad's going to happen, it might be a bit, you're not connected to that feeling because you've got those blockages, and now you're kind of getting those blockages out. Because you bring them back to your brain. Repeat seeing them and then kind of getting it out.
Yeah.
I just wonder whether you feel, because I've noticed you, I've seen you in your life, and I feel like you're becoming a lot more connected to.
I feel like me again. I said to somebody the other day that actually I feel like my old self, and I'm not there yet.
No.
But I know a time when I felt like this, and it was probably when I was pure, when I was a child. Do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. I'm obviously an adult, I'm not pure, but I feel internally more like me, and the way I think now is not by other people. I feel like I'm thinking more for myself and doing what I feel is right for me, and naturally that's upset a lot of people who may benefit from my attention or financially or babysitting or whichever way you want, free eyebrows, whatever you want to put it down as. Somebody around me somewhere was benefiting, and they were sucking the blood out of me like a vampire. And when I took the psychedelic, it was very much, I connected to it, I saw it, and then I lived it again in a sober life. And I felt like, do you know what, this is real. That this is not in my head for a trip. This is people doing this to me. And yeah, I am more connected. I think it's definitely going to take a long time now for me to come back. But I mean, I've done a couple of trips now. And I don't think it's something I would do regular, because I go through so much in a trip. I'm actually okay to not trip for months. Whereas medications like SRNIs and SRIs, they were things I had to take every day. And if I didn't take one, especially the duloxetine I was on for fibromyalgia, it was a good drug when I first took it because it did help me, but going on that drug felt like painful, like all over my body. They don't know what it does to your brain, but my whole body was hurting, and I did have a flare up for a good month. But coming off it was even worse. I felt like a crackhead.
So yeah, I think
I'd rather trip once every 2 months, 3 months, or twice a year, whatever you want to put it down, right, than ever put anything from Big Pharma like that in my body.
So I think it'd be good to tell the listeners about your experience, the conversation you had with your GP.
About the drug. When he said to me that he understands.
Well, you told him about the trip.
Yeah. He basically said that he he understands because he was, obviously, he's medical. What did he say? He couldn't advise it.
Because you was looking for a referral, wasn't you?
I was open for a referral to a psychedelic.
Because of the clinical trials going on.
Trial.
But they're in England.
Yeah, his argument was because I'd already taken it, I may not be able to do it now, which is fine. Because to be honest, I look at it now and I think being in an environment like a hospital environment wasn't for me anyway. I do think it's good that they're looking into it, but a psychedelic to me is something you go do in your own space. Maybe with a professional, right? But I don't really think you even need that. I think you just need somebody who you can trust. I don't know, see, because we had loads of propaganda over here about people jumping off buildings, but I've never felt like that when I've taken. I felt like that when I've had a couple of vodkas.
I mean, there are risks that come with psychedelics. You've got, and we're not here advocating the use of anything. We're only sharing our experiences and what's happened to me or what's happened to us. But the research out there will say, there are risks. If you've got a family history of schizophrenia and psychosis and things, it can be a risky thing. So, don't do it lightly there. But for the general population who don't have a history of mental health problems like schizophrenia and psychosis, then actually the research is showing that
it's pretty effective.
It's pretty effective. And we're not here giving medical advice under any.
Well, there's a bill in Parliament.
There is a bill in Parliament. I'll get...
Should you read it?
Yeah.
Honest. I was on duloxetine when I ever did my first trip. And had I had known that they could have caused psychosis, I would never have done it. So although I was looking into it, I didn't really know
Look
that.
into it now, yeah. And that's what we've obviously looked into it since there's clinical trials going on, and the one thing that they'll say to you is you need not to be on any
SRIs.
Mental health drugs, basically, because it'll cause an overload of serotonin, and that's where it can cause psychosis.
So should I talk about my experience on that? I won't lie, I did feel like I mashed my head. There was a time, I don't know if that would have happened because I took a psychedelic in general, but because I was consistently taking duloxetine, there were times, and I can only explain it like this, I felt like I died 10 times. So what I mean by that is everything flashed in front of me, like what they say when you die kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, and don't forget, I was in a rave when this was happening, so there was a lot of lights and music, and obviously I was feeling all the music, and I kind of, not blacked out, but it kind of went white, and I looked around and I felt like I'd been reborn. So it wasn't like a death where I was scared. It was kind of like I tripped, saw it again, and I was reborn. And I tripped again, I saw it again, I was reborn. And I kept getting reborn until I finally come out, and I was like, done. And it was really mental. It was mental. So it didn't cause a psychosis, but there was some really mad stuff that maybe I wouldn't have seen if I wasn't on that type of drug mixed with a psychedelic. Either way, though, for me personally, obviously I stopped taking it immediately.
That's why you went to the GP, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because you told them that you were tripping, this was helping.
I wasn't sure which
you wanted
to
to see if they could refer you to somewhere to do it actually properly.
Yeah.
They couldn't, but what you ended up doing was getting weaned off your medication.
Yeah, and in fairness to my GP, he fully supported me. Not with the psychedelics, but he did say, I can't have an opinion. However, there are clinical trials. So he was trying to say to me that this is an awkward topic. I can only help you wean off your duloxetine if that's what you wish. And that's what I went for. And I've been off my medication about, I don't even know, is it 7 months?
And how do you feel since?
I have never felt better. I have never felt better. It's literally been like a miracle. But I do believe it's not just taking that. It's lots of work around that. And if anyone was ever going to do it, I would definitely do the work around that. But naturally, did I ever think I'd feel this better this time, even in January? No. I thought I was going to end up killing myself because of the pain. I didn't want to live in pain anymore. And that's quite sad.
Shall I read this excerpt out?
What date is it?
The 2015. So the bill is the Psychoactive Substances Bill, dated 27th of October 2015 in the UK Parliament. I'll just read one small bit of it, which says, psychedelics bring a profound and meaningful experience. In a 2011 study by the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine, 18 healthy adults participated in five 8-hour sessions with either psilocybin, which is what's in magic mushrooms, or placebo, which means they wasn't actually given anything. So 14 months after participating in the study, 94% of those who received the drug said that the experiment was one of the top 5 most meaningful experiences of their life, and 39% said it was the single most meaningful experience of their life. And a follow-up study found the participants had long-term increases in a personality attribute known as openness, linked to creativity, emotional intelligence, and tolerance of others. So psychedelics are also being investigated as a treatment for various conditions, including depression, anxiety, addiction, and PTSD. So yeah, we'll put the link.
Definitely just share it, because I find it really interesting how the very government that banned it of saying that actually it's better than alcohol, it's safer than alcohol. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what that says.
Well, yeah, it's not hard to look at the statistics of people dying from alcohol and look at the statistics of dying from psychedelics.
Well, like in COVID, right? When we were in COVID, where did they put all the bloody queues for COVID? Down the alcohol aisle.
The what?
You know when we were all queuing for
Oh, yeah.
COVID, where they put all the bloody queues? They didn't put it down any other aisle. They put it down the alcohol aisle. Every bloody queue. So everyone became alcoholics, and then they wondered why. They wanted it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I find that really irritating, because we're living in a world where this psychedelic thing is oh, you shouldn't talk about it.
This is we were struggling with this podcast because we
don't want it to be all about that. It isn't all about that, and we're not advocating for it.
It's about trauma and mental health
and how I
this
dealt
is a
with
part of. And we were struggling about whether we was even going to talk about it on the podcast because of the stigma.
Well, there's lots of people who are not going to be happy with some of the things that are said on the pod, and there's going to be a lot of possibly backlash for the things that I or you might say. But the truth is, we need to get this part of the pod out of the way so we can get into the proper part of the pod. The reason why I want to do the pod, and the reason why it's only now happening, is because I have been literally sorting out my life, doing what I've been doing, and for me it has been the single most amazing experience of my life. Every time I have done it, that's my personal experience, is I actually enjoy the ego death of it. How do you describe ego death? When you literally feel like
at one with the universe.
Yeah, you're equal to everybody, and even the bad people in my life, I could see them and I thought, I'm not angry at you anymore because I needed you to be where I am. And a lot of forgiveness that happened to me, even down to a lot of things. I forgive nearly most of the people in my life. I just choose not to have these people in my life. And that's the difference. Whereas before, when I used to cut people out of my life, it was very off you go, leave me alone.
Still occupy that.
Still living rent free in my head. Whereas now, I don't think of these people. I may think of them I miss them, but. There's always a but, and I have to protect myself. So what it's done is helped me put up these walls like a shell. Remember I said to you, I could see myself like a little stick man, and then around me was people, stick men. And even though they weren't labelled, I knew who they were because I was tripping. And some people were yours, some people were close. And then every time I tripped, I kind of would move these people in my head and see how I felt. And then when I come around from a trip, I would literally cut them out or talk less to them, whatever it was, I would literally put that in place. And if it made me feel good, I felt I would continue that, and that's what I've done. So we haven't got many people left, but you know what? I never felt so good. So yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. For me personally, I've changed my life, and with this part of the pod, it needs to just be done. I think, Matt.
Yeah.
It needs to be said because people are talking about it, and we want to talk about it. I actually think in 20 years, hopefully not 20 years, but I can see this changing.
Look, it's going to be a lot longer than that. You know, it's going to be a lot shorter than that. You know, the clinical trials have been happening for the best part of a decade now.
Yeah, good time.
And now it's just a case of getting it politically on the agenda. I mean, like 2018 was when cannabis got made available for medical.
And nobody ever thought they'd see that.
Exactly.
I mean, even I got a prescription for cannabis for my fibromyalgia.
Yeah.
So
that is now available, not on the NHS, but you can get that privately through a GP in the UK. And that's on prescription. And I don't see it being long before psychedelics will be offered in the same way. Yeah. Maybe you might not get it on the NHS, maybe you will have to go private, I don't know. But I don't think, the thing that's holding it up is Big Pharma. That's what's holding it up. They're obviously lobbying governments to keep antidepressants.
I think the problem with Big Pharma is most of our government, then people in Parliament, they got shares in it.
Either that or they're being lobbied, so the farmer will literally pay the party to not legalise something.
Oh, 100% it's going to happen. That's what's been happening.
Yeah. So
because they know they can't paint them as something that grows up to the ground.
Yeah, but mental health is it's causing such a big economic impact now, and it's becoming such a big problem that I don't see it being this way for much longer. I do think it's...
We're paying a lot of tax for all these drugs, and honestly, everything we need is growing on this earth. It's literally in a magic mushroom. You know, that's how it feels. That's how it feels for me anyway.
Well, it's just herbal medicine, isn't it? And, you know, people used to burn people like you and me at the stakes and call us witches in the 1600s. That's what it was.
Yeah, we were the weirdos. And so there are lots of reasons for doing the pod and lots of reasons for not doing it before.
Yeah.
So hopefully now that's out of the way.
We've shared, Molly's shared today some of her coping strategies and her journey and her journey through trauma. And that journey is different for everyone. So the different guests that we get on, they'll share their...
Yes, all the different things. I think for me, when I was, psychedelic aside, when I was really ill with my fibromyalgia and my mental health, I used to do a thing called silent cuppas. So I'd go over a friend's house and I would just say, can I have a cuppa? And that was like our code word for I need to sit down and be with somebody before I do something stupid, but I just don't want to speak. And we'd sit there and just have a cup of tea. And naturally I would talk eventually, but that's kind of like having something like that with a friend, I think is really good, you know? Yeah. So you don't feel pressure to talk, but you're not alone. For me as well, massage, going to, getting my body correctly aligned, I think all that helped me. Rest. Therapy I'm like this about. I think therapy is a little bit of a, like how can you discuss something you can't remember?
But that's where psychedelic assisted therapy, and you haven't done this.
Not
you've done
I can see how it works.
Psychedelic therapy on your own, but that's where the psychedelic assisted therapy that they're doing in clinical trials and things, that's where they're supposed to be the things that you've blacked out that can come to the surface when you trip in, then a therapist will give you that kind of counselling.
And I can see that being really, really good because it takes out the subconscious stuff that you don't remember and actually built your makeup, built you who you are. Like when you're born, like that ego death situation, you feel like you've just come back and you're like, okay, now I feel strange. I feel nothing. And I'm going to be careful now what I put back into my brain, That's kind of what babies are like when they're born and kids. And then we have life events that change us and mould us. And I do believe we are all a product of society, family values, religious values, whatever that is, and you just got to figure out what makes you unwell. I think if you are physically and mentally upset. With fibromyalgia, you'd be physically hurting. But I've got to be honest, sometimes these support groups are not a good idea. I don't think they are. I think they're full of people
Echo
who are...
chambers.
Yeah.
Amplify.
They just amplify it, I think. I think they're what made me worse. But yeah, no, so I'm excited actually to obviously people will know more, you will know more about me and Matt as we discuss different things and we open up about different things that we can share. But we felt the importance to do yours and mine just to get it out of the way and we can get to the good stuff.
And how can we expect someone to sit across us and tell us about their trauma
if we haven't shared
if we're not open to doing the same thing? So,
yeah. And if there is any questions, feel free to email them in.
Yeah, at spell@traumaandtea.com. And
socials, anything really.
Check out our socials. We've got Facebook, X or Twitter, whatever it's called.
I know, why is it, what have we done with the logo?
Elon.
Oh, God.
Instagram, YouTube and Threads, the rest of it. Yeah, we're
I mean, somebody out there might have their own personal experience and want to share, so...
Yeah, if you want to, you know, you can come in on the pod, you can write in with your name anonymously, you know, all sorts of contributions, even questions, if you've got any questions.
I'm happy to answer questions. We do a question and answer session.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Thank you so much, Mal, for sharing your story. It, you know, it will undoubtedly help a lot of people who've gone through similar experiences or know someone who might have gone through, might be going through fibromyalgia, might have gone through any of the sensitive topics that we brought up in today's podcast. So thank you very much for being so open. So thank you for joining us on Trauma and Tea.
Thank you. Our next episode, we hope to have a few guests on and we can get into podding some proper other people's business, not our own, which would be nice, not talk about ourselves all the time. So thank you for coming and we will see you soon.
Thank you.